Hey, everybody, we are live. Mona, we're live.
All right.
Yes, indeed. Everybody, we're going to just take a few minutes to give people time to connect, and we're going to make sure that our Facebook and our YouTube connections are working. But tonight, four lives lost, y'all, 13 folks injured, and a young man, just 22, whose life is now changed forever. So tonight, Mona and I, along with our guest, Daryl Heitch, are talking about what happens when public safety becomes public danger. And we're talking about what happens when that, what happens to community, not just family, but community. So the choices, the policies, and the pressures behind a tragedy that's shaken our city. So stay with us and help keep this conversation going. That's the key for our community, is to not allow things to just happen and then we forget about it. We talk about it for about a week or two and then we forget about it and any solutions that we might come up with around that. So for right now, while we get ourselves ready, I want you to like and share this video on Facebook and subscribe to our YouTube channel. We are Black Independent, not just Black Independent, we are Black Independent. In the meantime, we are going right into the countdown. And let me go ahead and get that started.
To the Black Independent, where we speak truth to power, unapologetically.
For too long, the black vote has been treated like a given, but we're not property, we're not pawns. We are the descendants of those who built this nation, and now we're demanding tangibles, not tokenism, because the era of blind loyalty is over. This is the Black Independent. Let's get to work.
Good evening, family, and welcome back to the Black Independent Podcast. I'm your host, Mona Judge, and tonight we're dealing with something heavy. We're dealing with real life, real loss, and real consequences.
Oh, yeah, this has really shaken our city. 4 lives gone, 13 people injured, and a young man, as I mentioned before, just 22 years old, whose life is now changed forever.
Yeah, this isn't about blame. This is about understanding how we got here and what we can do to prevent another tragedy. Tonight, we are joined by our brother and community activist, voice, Daryl Heitch.
Hey guys, hey, good evening, good evening, good evening. Hey, thank you guys for having me, and I'm always honored to be part of the conversation. So, and especially conversations that matter. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Glad to have you.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we're going to talk about what happened and why it matters. A young man was drag racing. A high-speed pursuit followed, and that pursuit ended in a crash on 7th Avenue in Ybor City, where people were simply enjoying their evening. And in seconds, family was changed forever.
And we know this doesn't just happen in Ybor. This is something that started long before that night. So I'm going to expand a little bit on that. It's about the identity and the pressure and the culture.
You know, we have to remember that 22 is grown in body, but not the mind. The mind is the mind is still developing. Impulses, consequences that part isn't fully formed yet. It's still in formation, and so he's reacting to adrenaline. You know, as a young man, that adrenaline rush and reasoning. You know, what cognizant reasoning is what he's.
Yeah, and that's where I think we have to have compassion comes in, not excuse, but compassion. Because if we cannot understand the why, we cannot change what happened next.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think so. So our young men, I think they're searching. The search has to do with finding where their place is, that sense of belonging, the identity, and I think they have something. They feel like they have something to prove. So I don't know.
Well, of course, we have to think when we were that age. Yeah. And I don't want to say when they don't have guidance, because I do believe they do. I was talking about this at work, and I saw something when I was I played dominoes on my phone, and it connected. And you know how you have the commercials when you're playing a game on your phone? Well, a game came up that they wanted me to download, and it was like ships in the ocean, and you were just there shooting the ships. And I said, and it just connected. And I said, well, goddamn, it just resonated with me, with the president want to play war games and shooting up these ships in the ocean. And I think it was my daughter who said that these guys play this game, and Daryl, you might know the name of it. It's a race car game on one of the games.
I'm not sure, but of name of the. I don't play a lot of these games, but I know what you're talking about, and to your point, it does. You
know they all doing that, and and now you're in real life, and now the street become the teacher, and the street it just has no mercy.
Right.
And this is what I'm thinking, that we have to give him some grace, but there is consequences.
Well, you know, we've seen this before on the Gandhi Bridge, Courtney Causeway, East Tampa back roads. This isn't new, but the outcomes are becoming more tragic. This isn't something that just happened. We've seen it before.
Sure. You know, I was looking at all the comments on Facebook, and I'm saying to myself, look, our young men are not monsters. This young guy did not wake up that morning and decide he was going to go out and do this and kill people.
Right.
He just didn't do that, and it just always brings me back to something. When Charlie Kirk killed, immediately the white press, white people want to give him grace, forgave him, prayed for him and his family. But they want to destroy, which that white boy planned that. He executed it. You know, we have to understand that. And I don't even think the guy was just looking for anything, right? But we have to understand that these are our children, and they just trying to feel alive. And I could imagine when the police start chasing him, first thing might have clicked was I think it's called Grand Theft.
Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah, Grand Theft Auto. So he's thinking now he's in a real life Grand Theft Auto, but don't really, like you said earlier, understand the consequences of that.
Yeah, I just to expand on that, I think they're growing up in a world that is moving way too fast.
Mhm.
And it doesn't always give them room to breathe or their mentors to actually adequately guide them. I think they're trying to build an identity while the ground under them just keeps shifting. And you guys know it. Um, the ground is shifting for all of us right now in at a rate that it's very difficult to keep up, especially with AI and just what's going on in the world altogether. So if you're looking at social media, the street culture, and just survival, that's what they're dealing with, which is a whole lot more than what we were dealing with when we were growing up. I just think it's tougher. And I'm not trying to give a pass or any of that, but I want us to really understand the context with which our young people are operating in right now.
You
Well,
know,
you know, go ahead, Daryl.
I had this conversation with someone, and I said, when we were little, all of us, and we stuck our hand in the fan, when our mother told us, "Don't stick your hand in the fan,"
Bobby knows that, yeah.
and you would stick your hand in the fan, and when she came, you would take off running. You would flee from the consequences of what you knew you had done wrong.
Sure.
Now you know you done this wrong, and you fleed from the consequences. So when I looked at this thing, I said he fleed from the consequences of what he knew he done wrong.
Yeah.
And then the next thing in his mindset, as they were trying to pit maneuver him, was what has he seen in his world when you get into the hands of police custody?
Exactly.
His mind is, they're trying to kill me.
Mhm.
So now you go from they're trying to kill me to I know I was wrong, but I don't want to stop because I don't know what may happen to me. I'm going to continue till I get to a point where I believe I can be in some form of safety. And then this tragic accident happened. We do want to make it clear it was an accident.
It was an accident.
It was an accident.
Yeah, well, we're looking at kids today, just as you say, that are getting messages that their worth is tied up into what they wear, what they drive, and how fearless they can seem. So you could just see this young man in this car speeding down the road, and I think we have a do we? I think we saw in the video earlier. Did we see the video yet? Because
No.
yeah, we see a little bit of the car chase, but it's they start chasing that feeling of being seen and respected, even if that means taking risks. And I think that's what this young man did. That could actually cost everything. And for us, that's usually what the end result is. So there's not they're not lost causes. This young man at 22 years old has changed his whole life. But if you think about it, they're not lost causes. They're just looking for a direction. They're just looking for a direction. And for people who see their value before the tragedy defines it. In this case, the tragedy is defining exactly what happens next for him.
Well, Jeanette, I'm going to even say this, because I grew up in East Tampa and in the 80s. At that time, and Daryl, I don't know if you was here at that time, but the kids used to steal cars all the time, right? And it was almost, even in the 60s, when white kids was doing it, they would take the cars and they say they were joyriding. Okay,
they were joyriding, yeah.
Joyriding. And so these kids are doing the same thing. It is nothing different from when I grew up in the 80s, and we used to complain about it all the time in East Tampa because they would chase them. Because as soon as those lights come on and you start chasing them, the young kid, of course, want to outsmart the police, right? But in my opinion, is putting a lot of people, a lot of property, anything in danger. And they're tearing up a car that's not even theirs, because at that time they used to steal a lot of cars, right? And then during our time, you remember Dukes of Hazzard?
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's what I said when they say grand theft, but I could refer it back to Dukes of Hazzard.
Mhm.
Now they used to want to outrun the sheriff every time, right? Every episode.
They romanticized it then.
Yeah. And it's the same thing. It is the same thing I believe here. And multiple people have done it. I can remember my ex-husband when I met him. He had just bought a nice Mustang, and then all these guys start ramming up their Mustangs, putting these pipes on, putting these engines on, and just start racing these Mustangs. You know, and that I think that is just something a guy does till they grow out of it.
You know, you guys don't know this, but my sister back in 2000, in in January, end of January, was tragically killed by two young boys racing down the street.
I'm
Yep.
sorry.
They were racing down the street. They T-boned my sister. They killed her. The car that was on the inside that hit her.
Hmm.
He hit her, tore up his car, got out of his car, got into the car he was racing in. They took him across state lines for medical attention and service. He went to the hospital, and he had a court date, and they only sentenced him to 3 years in prison, and he got out in a year and a half, um, based upon going into a boot camp program, and because he was a first time offender.
Wow.
Yeah,
Wow.
What
Yeah,
was it?
And
What
that's,
was
and
the
that's
case?
what I'm saying. I don't
he
want
was a black guy. He was a black guy. There
Okay.
was two black guys.
I don't want my property torn up, your life in danger, because we was on Hillsborough. I was driving on Hillsborough one time when it was a pursuit come by, and when that car coming by you at 100 miles and those lights, it scares the heck out of everyone.
It does scare. It is very scary when a car
Yes.
is past you, because you don't know the decision that you would have been making at that time to maybe go into that lane
Right.
legally with your blinker and everything, and the car just all of a sudden, you never know. So that is a very scary thing. But as we talk about the psychology of the Black youth, especially young Black men, how do we hold them accountable for their actions, but at the same time understand the environment in which they live, in which they function, and that need for belonging or recognition, and how do we as a community understand and provide a certain level of grace as white people, as we've already indicated, show for their own. How do we, I don't want to say solve this, but I guess that is what I'm saying.
A solution. We have to come up with a solution
I
for
guess that's what I'm
out-
saying.
an outlet.
Well,
Let's
yes, we have to. The young boy that's in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, I think he was 7 or 8 years old, that shot and killed his mother over a video game.
Yeah.
There are some men I know that's in that Milwaukee market that were ex offenders, been in prison before, and a group of them, about 20 of them,
Mhm.
they frequently go and they meet, and they have embraced that young boy. They're not embracing the wrong, but
Right.
they are embracing this young boy to get him to understand that, hey, listen, the wrong is the wrong. The state is going to do whatever they can do or whatever the law allows them to do. But we've embraced you to let you know that you still have a family. And not only do you have a family, you have a family that's going to walk you through these processes and help you get through it in the best way possible for a 7 or 8 year old.
Sure.
So in this situation, you're talking about this young man, he needs that same level of embracement. That's what the community has to do, because I went on the various different social media pages on Facebook. I've seen this one guy named Aaron Jones has demonized him.
Yes.
There are so many people that they've demonized him to the tone of 100 and 200 responses in the Facebook thread from his family members and friends. So
Yes.
we can't add to that demonization. We have to at least take a different position knowing all the barriers and all the things that we face as young Black boys in the community.
When I first heard about it Saturday morning,
No.
I mean, it was lit up.
Sorry, guys.
Just hurtful stuff that people were saying. And you have these, and I'm not trying to compare one with the other, but they always tend to give their people grace, and we do not. Because you have these mass murderers on school who kill hundreds of kids, and they find sympathy, empathy for them.
Right, but remember after the Margaret Stoneman Douglas, I think I'm saying that's still right, and after they arrested the young serial mass shooter, they took him to McDonald's before they took him in.
No, I don't think that was that one. That was the shooter who killed the people in North Carolina at the Black church.
Okay, we can check that, but I could have sworn they did something with him that was quite.
Yeah, one of those guys they did take to McDonald's. I don't remember.
Yeah, but it was the guy in North Carolina who killed all the Black people at the Black church. I know that for sure.
Well, then that was, what were they doing? Celebrating over McDonald's because they were Black?
But they said it was a hard job killing that many people. Black
yeah,
people.
well, the I guess the point that I want to make is they seem
empathy
to
for
have, and do you notice we don't?
Right.
When our boys do something crazy, we attack probably more than other people do, other races do, and it's a difference.
We've been systematically, some of us have been systematically, mentally shift to think that way. We think that we have to partner up with others in our problems, and that validates who we are. Sure. If I get online and I start talking crazy and saying he's messed up, he did this, he did that, then I would find favor with the majority population. Versus if I said the opposite, if I went online and start saying, let's give this young man grace, let's give him, some love, let's give him some kinder. If I said, hey, how about all the guys my age and younger, we go and embrace them? How about we all show up at court next week? Yes. Then there's going to be a population of people to say, I wouldn't dare you do that. The larger conversation would be state talking negative to us. And it would be coming from, you're going to have a lot of us comment on it, and you're going to have a majority of the majority population speaking on it. So it's that assimilation thing to be a part of.
Yeah, sure. We just haven't broke someone said, and I think it was Dr. Ray Hagan, we've broken our shackles from slavery, but we just haven't broken the mind shackles just yet. Oh. And if you look at all my comments on that, I was completely saying, not really even knowing at that time on Saturday if this kid was Black or white, but or brown. But I just know at 22 years old that he needed some type of grace, that he did not wake up. He was not a monster. Now, although they said that he has done it before, I don't care. He still isn't a monster. He didn't wake up. He did not plan this. And then just came out and executed that. Jeanette, you want to play the video, and then we'll go into what happened.
Yeah, so this video at the stage.
They're going to be GOA on this.
FHP's attempting a pit.
Developing tonight, new questions about what police said happened just before this deadly car crash in Ybor City this past weekend. 4 people were killed, 13 others injured. FHP troopers were chasing the car just 30 seconds before the crash. But where Tampa police say that chase ended does not match up with their own video. 10 Tampa Bay News reporter Chris Hurst has been working to get clarification from TPD and Florida Highway Patrol. But Chris, both agencies refused to comment.
Yeah, that's right, Dave. Both TPD and FHP replied quickly, but not directly to questions I had about what they said in statements not matching up to what helicopter video shows. So we took that footage and matched it with where it happened on the ground and discovered that that chase actually went thousands of feet farther along 7th Avenue than what police claim.
Yeah, we got two that are racing.
It's early Saturday morning, close to 1 a.m., when a Tampa police air unit finds a sedan speeding on 275 South. That's shown in this video provided by TPD.
FHP's attempting a pit.
The next clip shows Trooper A. Carrasco chasing Silas Sampson and attempt a precision immobilization technique known as a pit maneuver. It fails, and the chase continues until Carrasco stops. Sampson continues on before the crash. The official police statement says the pit was attempted as they headed toward Nebraska Avenue, but that's not what the video shows. Tonight, we sent Drone 10 up to where the pit attempt actually happened, in the intersection of 7th and Henderson Avenues, well past Nebraska. TPD also said Carrasco stopped chasing Sampson as the driver approached 7th Avenue, but their own video, confirmed with ours, shows the chase happened on 7th Avenue until they reached the Ybor City Arch. Seconds later, the car slammed into a crowd.
We can always apprehend a person at a later date, but we can't bring people back to life.
Retired police instructor Tom Gleason has taught vehicle pursuit courses at the FHP Academy and now is an advocate against most police pursuits. He says the air unit tracking the suspect could have stayed on the car and waited to make an arrest.
Especially in that area on Friday and Saturday night, the large number of people that gather there because of the different entertainment they have, the risk factors then, if you're going to be...
We're going to stop it there. But did you notice time the car turned, getting ready to hit the... I'm sorry?
Okay, go ahead.
And another car was coming. This is why I don't think we should be doing the chase. And so we're going to dive into a question of the strategy, but not blame. So I want to talk about the pursuit itself. And not about blaming the law enforcement.
Was this FHP and TPD?
I think it was both, yes.
Okay.
Because TBD was first, and then I don't know if they called it in. I'm not sure, but I think so. Yeah, I think it was both. And then FSH came. But my question is, and it's always been, because I could remember when something like this happened, either in the 80s or the 90s, and I thought they really stopped chasing these kids, right? But once you had eyes in the sky, in my opinion, and I don't want to do a Monday night, what's that saying, Daryl? Monday night
quarterback.
Yes, okay. I don't want to do that. But once you have the helicopters on them, and even that, I believe, would be pushing them because they liked that rush. They had the tag and the helicopters, they had the eyes on the vehicle. Why do you think that they will continue to do that? And I have to ask myself this, the officer, how old was the officer? Because he too might like that adrenaline.
You can get caught up in the moment. I'm looking at some of the comments on YouTube, and Angela Judge says we must continue to embrace our young men and women proactively. Yes, Dylan Ruth was taken to Burger King.
Yeah, that's Dylan Ruth in North Carolina.
Okay. And why were they chasing him in the first place? And I just want to do one I saw. Yeah, I think that's it. But I thought we must continue. I thought she mentioned something about TPD's no chase policy. Do they have one or not? Also, FHP, do they have one or not?
I remember TBD, I believe, kind of like stopped it. We believe at one point on 34th, they did the roundabouts. to try to slow down because 34th used to be pretty bad. And look, we did reach out. I reached out to somebody on city council and I reached out to the sheriff department to come in and explain, but I didn't get a response. So
I researched their policy, and it says that Florida Highway Patrol relaxed their pursuit policy, allowing, because you brought up a very good point when you said about the trooper, because it says it allows the troopers greater discretion. So the trooper has the discretion to determine whether or not he wants to pursue. Previously, the policy was pursuit was generally limited to felony offenses, suspected DUIs, and reckless driving.
sure.
But now it's at the discretion. So your point was very valid when you said how old and what do we know about the driver. You know that if the driver's already known, that's one. If the car is already tracked from above, that's two.
Mhm.
You know he's headed in the he's headed in the
Exactly.
highly trafficked area, and then you waited until you got a few thousand feet to pull back on your on the throttle. At this time and throughout that whole process, the young kid is already at full speed.
And Daryl, not only that he was going down 7th Avenue, because there's some incidents where he was um, being chased from Nebraska. It's cars everywhere. It's cars on the side of the road. If you hit my car, now you causing me all kind of increased harm because now I got to get my car fixed. He don't have any money. Or if you hit me while I'm in the car, if you do any damage to me, I just don't think it's worth it, particularly if it's a non-violent crime. Like you said, if it wasn't murder, armed robbery, or something like that, can't we wait for another day?
I think so. Angela weighs in on this as well. Angela Judge, according to TPD's policies, they are not supposed to chase in municipal areas unless it's for more serious crimes. And that's in line with what I've read about TPD. Now, FHP and TPD have two different approaches to this, I think. But you said both were involved in the chase.
Yeah, so here's what's interesting. That night, I had just left from down there. I had just left, and I was heading home on 618 on the Selman. And I remember heading on the Selman. I text some friends of mine that would be leaving, coming from that same way. And I told them to be careful on 618 because there's at least 9 highway patrol cars on the highway. That was before the incident. So in hindsight, those cars must have got the TPD helicopter call, and those cars broke. They came off. They either sent 1 or 2 off of 618 because they could have easily come off of 618 and got in pursuit of that in pursuit because FHP was not in the Ybor area that evening.
But
Well,
once
look, I don't want to say it, but these sheriffs sometimes could want to be playing some Dukes and Hazard kind of stuff too.
Right, but I think it gets back to what you said earlier, Mona. You want to look at the young man, but we ought to be looking at the trooper as well in terms of what was going on in his mind as well. Angela writes a question. Once the trooper entered the city jurisdiction, isn't he supposed to fall back? That's the question. Once he reaches the city jurisdiction, is he supposed to fall back or not?
The police, some kind of way, Tampa police department had to fall back and the highway patrol took over. But Daryl just said what you said, Daryl. They relaxed
there were at least 5 FHP on 618 when I was heading home. And I can look at my text message. I know I left where I was at right at about 11:30, and it's easy for them to put out this race or TPD is stating that there's a race going through the city, and then on the highway for them to circle back around and get in pursuit. I mean, that's not difficult for them to get their cars in pursuit and get prepared to chase. It begs the question: did one of those officers that was on the highway come off the highway and say, "Let me get in pursuit. I'm right here"? Why would he not say it? I'm right here.
No,
Right.
because if you're saying 11 o'clock, the time doesn't add up because I think this was like 1 o'clock.
This is about I think it wasn't it 12:30 or so when that happened?
It was just before 1 o'clock. What time that meant, everything that I've seen says prior to 1 o'clock, but it does say in the morning. So it
And,
was
and it appears that these guys, it was two cars, really, right? So it was two cars. They were drag racing. He was drag racing with someone else. Now, either the other car got away or the police department got them. We haven't heard much about the other car. So they was able to stop one, and they, in my opinion, almost forced his hand to keep going because he's just too dumb to think I better stop.
It was 11:59 when I sent my text message out to my friend. I just looked at it. It was 11:59.
But yes, it probably was going on at that time because it was saying that they was racing throughout the city somewhere, and I'm not quite sure where.
But it goes back to your point that we made earlier, because Dr. Umar Johnson made that statement one time about the mind of young men and women and just people in general. The mind is not fully developed at 22. The mind is still going through the growth pattern. It's still your cognizant dissonance and all that is still being developed. And so Dr. Joy DeGruy, she speaks about that. It's not fully there. And so as a result of that, all these things are happening in real time, rapidly. And even as the law enforcement officer came back off the throttle and he stopped his pursuit of chase, that young man don't know that the pursuit of chase is being drawn back on. He's still driving at his high speed. Now, I looked at the car. It's a Toyota Camry. 22-year-old men and boys do not go out and buy a Toyota Camry. That shows me, when I saw that car, I said, this is somebody who had understanding of buying a quality vehicle. It was understanding the fact that, hey, I need a car that's going to last for a while. I need a car that's going to help me get to where I need to get to from point A to B, because that's the thinking when people come and pull up on the parking lot and buy a Toyota Camry.
Sure.
That shows a mindset of somebody who isn't, like you said, who isn't getting up in the morning to say, I'm going to go kill someone.
All right, I'm just going to be a badass,
That's true.
And we're not per se removing the responsibility from him.
That's correct.
Because he is responsible for his actions. But what I want us to figure out is how to prevent the next tragedy from any side. Because maybe, just maybe, in my opinion, you don't chase a 22-year-old, particularly who is already, he probably got in panic mode. And like you said early, young black guy don't want to be arrested, worrying about safety. And I thought at one point they were trying to come up with some type of race strike solution for these young guys, because we cannot say, I think it's irresponsible to say that these kids aren't going to race these cars and they're not going to drag race.
It's true. And it's not
last year or the year before last, some young kids who just graduated from, I think, Jesuit. Remember that? And they was racing on Bayshore, and they had a lady and her baby.
Yep.
And even those kids, they didn't wake up to do that. And I think one of them had just got a new car.
You're right. I mean, if we can build skate parks to get the kids out the street from skating, If
Yes.
we can build bike lanes to get the people out of the street from riding the bike, then you know that you have an epidemic of
Yes.
such high speed driving and things like that. Then you can create a space. I mean, out in off of what 75, that car conclave, they have a race, they have a track.
Is it open?
You
Have they finished it?
I don't know if it's open. I don't know if it's open, but they have yeah, I think it is open. It is finished. They have a track.
Yeah.
It's
You can
I saw it being built.
okay.
See,
So that solution is out there. Is that what you're saying?
well, Ms. Jeanette, I will tell you, if the solution isn't out there, we have watched them on countless numbers of times create solutions.
yes.
Unfortunately, this happened in Ybor 2 years almost to the date, or 2 years and 1 week away from the mass shooting. And because of the mass shooting, they came and they put cobblestone bricks down. They used the CRA funds to put the cobblestone bricks down to slow down and to prevent criminology from taking place. So they can come up with solutions. It's just a matter of you ultimately doing it.
Yeah.
I think they can, but I think probably the solution that I can think of that's more immediate and likely we can control is the trooper in the car and his decision making. And this driver was being chased by the police for reckless driving. Not that he murdered someone, not that he just robbed a bank. He was reckless driving, and that should have factored into his decision making as to whether or not this merited a high-speed chase in a
Yeah, don't push it
municipal area.
because they already knew when they ran the tag, I believe, that he's already had, I think they said multiple tickets. So the truth is, his adrenaline was real, the thrill.
So he knew that he had tickets already for driving, I think,
Yeah.
90 miles an hour or something like that. But just think about that. You already know who he is,
Right.
right? You've got
Right.
the tag number. It's reckless driving. Get him on another day, not at
Yeah.
that moment. And
Yeah.
I think that's, we can build these safe spaces for biking and skating and even drag racing in a car. But the key is for our law enforcement officers, what is the decision making that needs to happen when you are, I mean, if you're out in urban, wherever, you can chase them all you want, not urban, but suburban, but you cannot do that in the
Close.
middle of you're right, in the middle of a city, because there's too many people at risk of being hurt in the process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Angela says, I drive a Toyota Camry. Yep. That's that safe driving decision making.
Well, that's why everything you're saying is about policy and is about policy and law. I mean, whoever made the decision to throw that discretion back into the hands of the law enforcement officer who's pursuing, that needs to be redressed, because now you have just given, let's say, I don't know how many people on FHP or TPD, but I know FHP has let's say they have a large, let's say they got 300 people in the community. You've now given 300 different decisions to be made based upon how that person is feeling.
Yeah.
You
I
can't.
don't like anything when it's left up to individual. I just don't like it as a Black woman.
Right.
I want the laws to be the laws for across the board.
Exactly.
Right. You know, it is crazy, and I believe, and I thought at some point they were supposed to do some type of organized setting for these kids, because you remember they used to do it on the Gandhi, and something happened over there. I think you mentioned that too, Daryl. But it is, I don't know, and this isn't just a Black thing, because this is black and white. Because I can remember, like I said, with my ex-husband, they used to go somewhere into Nodasessa off a long stretch road. But when I sat back and thought about it. We was on this road, but if any car was coming across and we happened to hit them, everybody was going to blow up.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And so it's by the grace of God that it didn't happen, you know.
Yeah, they need an outlet. They need
They,
an outlet, and
we don't have outlets for people who want to seek this kind of thrill. We have all these pickleballs all around, everywhere. Okay, so
again, them making solutions to people in their scenarios. They didn't want them on the
yes,
tennis court, so they created pickleball courts. The
yes,
same court.
Y'all,
basketball courts. They are now changing them over to pickleballs. This is crazy. So
no shade to football players who speed in their nice little expensive sports car, and I'm not going to call any names, and then they get dragged for getting a speeding ticket. Sure,
yeah.
I don't think he would have been looking for the local speed drag what is it facility to go and test out his new car. So and Angela makes this point, which I think is a good one. Doesn't matter. She says that they probably would not have. She says building alternative spaces for young people does not ensure that they would utilize it. And I think a skate park and a bike lane is not the same as these big behind cars that some young person wants to drive and give it a test and take that risk. It's a whole different ball game, in my opinion.
And that's true. But
I put it back on the trooper or the police officer. What is the reason? And do you have enough information to get him on another day, especially if it's going to put the lives of others in danger? That did not happen in this case.
And we have to assume anytime you do a high speed chase like that, because they said when you saw him on the interstate going 100 and he's passing other cars. Now the cars to his right, as he was speeding past them, I'm sure it scared the heck out of them.
Of course, it scares me when anybody passes me fast, and I think I'm going fast already. I know I don't really drive that fast, but
I drive pretty fast. But and I've always said sports cars. So yeah.
Okay, wait. Well, I drive.
I'm not running from the cops.
I drive a Subaru Forester. I'm not driving that fast.
I don't drive fast anymore. But the simple fact is, no, Angela. I don't think everyone would do it, but they like to get together on the weekend. So I believe if they did have some type of trike, what do you think, Daryl? That they would go to that place and participate.
I think right now, when you have no alternative, no options, I think if you get a portion of them to at least begin to do it, you'll draw then if you get a few to go and start doing it, and the word gets out that this place is available to us, then you have the possibility of shifting the audience. You have a possibility of shifting those people, those young men and women over there, because again, to your point, nobody wakes up. This is just like the guy that's sleeping on the street. The guy that's sleeping on the street did not say one day when I become an older man, I'm going to sleep on the street.
I'm just going to become homeless. Yes.
I'm just going to become homeless. So there was something that happened that led to this. And if there is no outlets, we create outlets and we create opportunities for everything. And this is all we're asking. Give a solution. Yeah, the trooper, he had a fiduciary duty and he had a duty of law based upon their governance, but it left it loose. It gave him the authority to make the discretion. So that needs to be rolled back. That needs to be put back into perspective, especially when you got the eye in the sky on him. You got identity, so many things. You can even, in a situation like that, you can mark the car. You can mark the vehicle, and now you can let him go. I've always been told, and I'm sure you guys can agree with this, you cannot outrun the radio.
Right.
You cannot outrun the radio. You can keep on running as fast as you can, and all it takes is another radio call. He's coming up this street. He's coming up this street. He's coming. You can do that all the way till he gets home and park in the driveway.
And that's what the helicopter is for. And you know that he had to be communicating with somebody back in the main office over the radio, and like I said, don't want to put blame on them, and maybe they're going to have to revisit because
Well, that's why TPD didn't continue to pursue, because TPD's policy says not to pursue.
That's right.
They said not to pursue,
It
and
does.
that's the fundamental difference in this situation.
Right.
And I want to make it clear too, because each one of us is going to be seen somewhere in the marketplace and be challenged in this conversation. We're not condoning any of this. We're not condoning the situation and everything and the deaths that were caused. It's just a different conversation that needs to be had.
Sure. And I don't like when people say condone, and of course nobody condones killing, accident and killings. I know one of the young ladies that died. So yeah, it is a lot of grief. It is a lot of grief all around.
It's true.
Even for him and his family. And the 4 families that did pass, and the 13 that's injured, we have to make sure that those people could bounce back whole. So we haven't really got any updates. So yeah, it's going to be a lot of sadness for a while.
Right, but for every incident that occurs, especially unfortunately one like this, there is an opportunity for policy improvement.
Yeah.
And there's also an opportunity for community activism. And I think that's why we're looking or even talking about this, is to say to the FHP and TPD, let's look at your policies so that your officers can make better decisions on the road. So even Angela weighs in on this one to say you cannot leave the decisions to pursue or not up to an individual officer. And it's like Daryl stated, you'll have 300 different decisions. Well, that's true. So draw up the parameters of, if it's reckless driving, that's an example of don't pursue. If it's murder or whatever, pursue. If it's a crowded area, don't pursue. You've got to have some guidelines for those officers, but then they're the ones in that car behind that wheel. They have to make decisions.
So I'm always wondering what made them change it to this new thing, because this is new. This wasn't always the policy. The policy was to fall back, and they changed it to this new policy. So imagine what was the conversation in their leadership.
In the last 9 months, how long ago was the change?
It doesn't say, but it says their new policy, their FHP's new policy has them doing this. Whereas before it was what we're stating we would like for it to be. It fell in line with TPD. I did some more research. CPD, Brandon, many of these other areas, they don't do this. And so why did FHP decide we need to make this change?
Yeah, I would really want to know when that change was made. But remember, we live in a state that has a governor that tries to out-police, outdo whatever they're doing at the federal level at this point. And if pursuit of Black boys is the key to get those prisons filled, they're going to do it. They're going to figure it out. So I think you're going to see lots of laws change that give more leniency to police officers who pursue and capture and imprison. So, or jail in this case, eventually imprison. So my question would be, when did it change and what were the circumstances around it?
Well, the 2023 guide for Police Executive Research Forum and the U.S. Department of Justice recommends limiting pursuits to violent crimes. That's what that guide states. Why they changed it, FHP, to doing what they do now remains to be known. It could, and you hit the nail on the head. It could be exactly from what you just said, because our governor is always trying to lead the charge to make Florida the state of the state of it almost wanted to be the state of the USA.
Exactly. It wants to be the prototype for what they want the USA to be, and he wants to be able to say, "I've already done it. Vote for me in 2028." That's all I'm saying. And it will be at the expense of Black bodies if we do not seriously look at issues like this and challenge them now, so that we can mitigate our young men making decisions where they are not thinking and they're reacting, and ended up ruining their lives.
But look, see, to me, I see it a little different. Are you telling me you're trying to get this one guy to put him in jail, occupy the prison system, versus unnecessary death? Because that's what happened here. And by you catching him, and now what, almost 20 people life will be changed? For what?
I don't think either the young man,
I'm
22
thinking,
years
I'm
old,
not even talking
or
about the man, I'm talking about
yeah,
the
but
cop.
I'm talking about the cops as well.
They're not just
Neither were thinking, they were
absolutely.
reacting.
Yes.
So I'm saying to you, yeah, I am saying that, because to the point you were making earlier, they weren't thinking. It was in that hot pursuit, Dukes of Hazzard kind of thinking at that moment. And I don't know how old. I think you asked me earlier. How old was the
I'm
officer?
going to say this
I
officer
don't
has
know.
to be under 35 because, I
And
mean,
if he was, then he very well could have been also caught up in the adrenaline of the
absolutely.
moment. And we'll be dealing with a lot of that, especially as police forces and ICE become a certain type that used to wear.
Yes.
I'm pausing, and I'm pausing on purpose.
You
But
know,
Yes.
this
what I'm
that I from him to make it from the highway to Nebraska and then make that left turn on the 7th Street. How is it that no one was able to stop him when he made that left turn
Right.
off of Nebraska? That left or right turn. He's turning. He had to slow down to break that turn. How is
No,
it that
not really. You could turn wide, and I'm sure he didn't slow down.
yeah, but that would have been a long
He
wide
turned
turn.
on two wheels.
Yeah, yeah, because at that time, with enough police presence, if he was coming in, he was making that left turn. That was your time to stop him right there, because he's making you're gonna slow down and make that left turn. I don't
And
care how you
what do you think when they I can think he called it a
pit maneuver.
maneuver? And like if that car just went, I'm sorry, I don't want you hitting my car because I don't want the car anymore. And the insurance company isn't going to total my stuff out, and
Really?
then I'm going to have issues with it all the way. It's just a lot. It's unnecessary to me.
And the pit maneuver seemed like, after looking at this video, the pit maneuver was done on 7th Avenue.
Yes.
So how did you? I'm just trying to visualize this.
And
You get off.
he was still chasing him. He
Yeah,
was
but you
still.
get off the highway, you jump on Nebraska, and you make a left, you're going to slow down. Or if you make a right, you're going to slow down. I don't know which way he was coming, north or south. And he had to slow down to make that turn to get on 7th Avenue. And why did you wait till he get on 7th Avenue to do the pit when you could have called him on either one of those avenues? The eye in the sky and the radio, you can't outrun the radio. There
Right.
should have been enough police presence in those areas to say he's coming this way, and they could all jumped in their cars and stopped him. Set
Yeah,
up a block.
it became
And
a
look,
video.
I don't even know if this is just something, but do they not have unmarked cars?
They do.
Because I wouldn't have had the siren, the helicopter flying. I remember this movie, it just came to me, Breaking Bad or something like that, I think it was. And the helicopter following the guy on the grounds, and he's just going, he's freaking out. So I'm thinking all these things for this young guy, and I'm sure auto theft is probably playing in his head too. Because look, I have nephews that age.
Yeah, yeah, same as I. He's he's a young man trying to get away.
Yes,
He's been hit in his mind.
he's
They
just so
catch me, they're gonna beat me, they're gonna hurt me, they're gonna kill me. I'm gonna keep on riding as much as I can to get away. He hit that left or right going into Ybor, and then he met his fate. Unfortunately, the law enforcement officer that was behind him that attempted the pit maneuver, he had the aha moment, which was too late. I need to slow down, back up off of him. But that distance from Nebraska to that point isn't a very far distance. You, it's not that far. I mean, he had to jump over the railroad tracks and everything, and it's not yet that far to whereas that officer trying that pit maneuver, after he tried the pit maneuver and it didn't work, he should have came all the way up off the
So
gas.
wait a minute. The
I
railroad
agree.
track. So you saying he was heading west on 7th Avenue? Where did he get off? No, because he was cut. They say he got off on Nebraska
He
somewhere.
got off on Nebraska, so he was heading south.
So he was heading south. So when you get off on where you get off on Nebraska, what interstate was he on?
Was he on 7?
275. I thought they said he was on 275. He was on 275.
275. And what exit did he? He must be got off on Hannah because that's what it really was. Sly and Hannah maybe. And he came down Nebraska. So he drove all the way down Nebraska from.
See what I'm saying? That's a long drive.
That's a lot. Yes, and it's a narrow, busy road on a Friday night, early Saturday morning. People are out. Yeah, that's scary.
So where are all the other police
I don't
cars?
know when they picked him up, but the helicopter found him.
The helicopter caught him on the highway.
They kind of on the highway. Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's a lot to unwrap. Policy must be addressed, and then to the beginning of our conversation, we do have to not. No one has to do anything, but I would suggest that we do not become part of the negative narrative and look for solutions and look for, hey, you know what? This young man still is alive. He's going to need some love, care, and he's going to need some mental help as well as he navigate through this. And we talk about the fact that it was 14, 15 people, but there were people inside that club. A friend of mine was inside that club, and she mentioned that they thought it was a gunshot. So they all ducked, they all ran to the back, they got low on the ground. So all of those attendees that was in that facility, all of them are affected. And so now we have to look at this and say, how do we heal the entire scenario? And that young man is a pivotal piece to the entire scenario to be healed.
I agree.
You cannot negate that he is part of the scenario to be healed. He must be healed.
Sure, absolutely.
And he's not the only one. I mean, he's an example of what is wrong in the community, and we need to figure out how do we redirect, how do we fix that need for taking such costly risks. And that's pretty much where we're at, especially with our young men.
Yes.
We have to pay attention to that.
I was at an event one time, and this young man was barbershop conversations, and this young man was sitting behind me, and this young man said he had just gotten out of jail, not just, but he had been incarcerated, and he said, as I was growing up as a young man, he said what most people didn't realize about me was all I needed and all I wanted was a hug. And he said, but people judge me based upon my disposition and the way I carried myself. And that's how I had to carry myself because people just thought I was just character person. And he said, and all I wanted was a hug. When that man said that, that entire room got quiet.
It causes me pause as well, because I think about when I go into the schools, into Title I schools, and I'm looking at the boys, especially the Black boys, especially the dark-skinned Black boys that are big. And I'm just talking elementary school kids. I can already tell you the ones that are going to struggle, especially when they get into middle school. And if we don't get in there and start hugging those little boys in elementary school and making them feel like somebody cares about their poor decision making, even at that age, there's nobody there necessarily to redirect. You don't know what their home lives look like, but it doesn't have to come from the family, because the family may not be in a position to help redirect that young man. We have to make ourselves more visible so that we can give more young men a hug, so that they don't end up in that place where the young man that you just spoke of.
Yeah.
I know that it works because I go into the schools a lot, and I do give my share of hugs. And there's nothing like having a young boy who you know is tough, that's so glad to see you and walks up to you and gives you a hug. And it's like that makes it all worth it. It makes it
Yep.
worth it.
And you
But
know what
listen, it
I
can't be-
do know?
Mhm.
That no matter how much love and support you give your kids inside the home, they still crave or need it, particularly when they're young and impressive like that. When they get in school outside, because I used to tell my daughter all the time, it used to make me, oh, it used to do me like this. I say, honey, I hug you all the way. I'm kissing you, blah, blah. I walk you to your class. She goes right in. She wants the teacher to hug her. And I'd be like, what the? I just have
Our kids do love hugs from the teachers. I watch that too.
So we do still need the community to be involved, even though the parents are.
Gotta have it.
They still need men like Daryl to be involved, even though their fathers are involved. They still need the village.
They do. They really do. And I truly believe a lot of it happens with right there in the community. If it's going to happen, it's got to be in the community where we are. Even though I don't have any children, I have children, right?
Plenty, yes.
I
Because
have-
I could tell my daughter something, and she'll come back and say, "Oh, guess what Miss So and So said."
Yeah, it'd be the same thing you said.
She didn't hear me say it, right? She would say, "I just had to let it go and not feel a certain type of way."
You need that.
But yes, and so, which is good because they're building on what I'm doing, and we don't care how they get the message, long as they get the message. Correct?
That is true. And no shade to parents, but at some age, like maybe 10, 11, 12, 13, you need the village. You need to be planting people in your child's life who are going to reinforce those messages. I am fortunate to be able to be planted in kids' lives to reinforce, because I talk to the parents. I talk to the parents of the kids that I meet with. I go to conference night and I sit out there in that garden. When those kids pass by, I'm talking with their parents to say, and here's what I see. You talk to the teacher, but here is what I see. And the concerns that they have when their kids are being held back, saying, okay, your child is being held back. That may be a good thing in second or third grade. Now let's figure out how we can catch them up, because to move them if they're not ready makes absolutely no sense. And helping parents understand that is key. And there's a lot we can do, I guess I'm saying, Mona and Daryl, that maybe we are not doing. So if we talk about solutions, those solutions probably happen well in advance of 22 years old.
Sure.
And it requires an effort from the community ourselves, like it used to be back in the day.
Yeah.
Doctor,
Before we go to the solution, let's listen to one of our ads, okay? Hold on, Daryl.
After school garden program in Tampa comes local honey inspired by young gardeners and the gardens they grow. Our 3rd and 4th graders learn math, science, and teamwork while exploring nature. Favorites like chocolate honey, Madagascar vanilla bean, cinnamon, and orange blossom are among 24 unique blends that customers can't stop talking about. Each one raw, natural, and locally sourced. When you buy Seafood Kids Honey, your purchase supports a local nonprofit organization that helps students. So this Christmas season, shop local and support young minds blossoming in our Tampa gardens. Order at www.cbexchange.org. The link will also be in our description.
And we have another one.
Like you're not where you want to be. We've all been through that. Dr. Ellen Huff's got 2 books that can help you navigate through that. When the Mask Comes Off is real, talking about what it's like being in a toxic relationship, the red flags you ignore, and how to finally step out and get back to you. Then, I Choose to Be Victorious is all about shifting from the broken place to a stronger, more empowered version of yourself. It's about choosing a new story, no matter where you've been. Both of these books are for anyone ready to break free, heal, and start living on their own terms. It's not about where you start, it's about where you choose to go next. Make sure you check out those 2 books in our link in description. We highly recommend.
So, family, we're going to be trying to feature things that we could buy. We're boycotting Christmas, or we're saying support Black-owned business. So, really support these 2. At The Honey is Great. The book is I'm giving as a stocking stuffer. Actually, I'm giving both as stocking stuffers.
I'm definitely doing the same. But it's boycotting, yes. You're actually boycotting big box stores. We are saying that if you must spend money, because we believe that 2026 is going to be a tough year for a whole lot of folks, with all the layoffs that are occurring, but also with AI replacing a lot of the jobs that we typically have done, or even with the insurance premiums set to increase. So let's be wise this Christmas. And if you have to shop, shop Black, shop small. You do not have to go into the big box stores. Shop Black, shop small. Build a marketplace or an infrastructure that allows small business owners to thrive, not the big box stores. Okay.
And just do not go into debt this year.
Right. I sent you guys, Mona. I sent you a book. This Dr. Jawanza Confuciu. He speaks very powerfully. The title of this presentation is called "Countering the Conspiracy to Destroy Black Boys." He did that, and he did that in 1997, and it is the most powerful video. I watch it 2 or 3 times a month because I watch it and study it from the material that he's saying. And I think, Jeanette, you were the one who said about 10 and 11-year-olds. And he said in that presentation that our young Black boys are geniuses. It is documented that they are geniuses up until the 5th grade. And what he said, what happens in the 5th grade? He said, what happens in the 5th grade in our families is we begin to release the chains from them, and we begin giving them the freedoms. We begin allowing them to stay at home by themselves. We no longer go to their sports and their games and stuff anymore. We no longer be actively engaged in their lives. And so as a result, and when they get in the 6th grade, he said there's a major decline in our young Black boys. And I thought then in that presentation
I sent it to you. See if you could pull it up. I'm not sure. Yes, and that Daryl, that is so true, because I can remember when my brother stopped wanting to hang out with us. My father had died, and we used to always do, but by the time he got 11 and 12, he was staying home by himself. He didn't go on trips with us anymore because he didn't want to be with the girls all the time, and he was really forced. But fortunately, he didn't get into any trouble. We do see the pull from that, so that'll be a really good guy. And I'll put that up. You said it's a book.
It's a video presentation. It's about an hour long.
Yeah, actually, it's a video.
Okay, so it's even better because parents, we need to be, empowering, engaging the parents. So what we need to do to help our young guys.
Yeah, that's a powerful video. Anyone watch that video and walk away from it saying they don't know what they just watched or they disapprove of it, and then they have to go do a self check.
So, yeah, something's wrong with them.
Yeah, yeah.
So, Daryl, tell us, you want to speak on it, Jenny?
No, I just want to let people know that we'll put it in the chat. And actually, I'll add it to the description as a recommended book by Daryl. Okay.
So, Daryl, thank you. Tell us a little about yourself.
Well, thank you. I am
You're just always my go-to guy, and you're our go-to guy on We Are Black Independent. We value your opinion.
Well, no, I greatly appreciate it, and I appreciate the embracing of the city of Tampa and our Black community. I relocated here in 2017 after retiring from the military, and when I retired from the military, and while I was in the military, my wife and I owned a consulting firm that helped small businesses. Our emphasis is on entrepreneurship and
Nice.
corporate trainings, and so that's what I do in my daily life. But what my passion is being an instrument and being a value asset to helping our people. When I served the country for nearly 30 years, I told my wife that when I got done, I was going to serve the people that look like me with that same tenacity, that same vigor, that same strength, and everything that I could bring to the table. And coming into Tampa has been it's been a great experience. It's been a lot of learning. I'm learning from you guys daily, and many other people that are out here doing the work. And I just think that, I said the other day that I'm just a nobody trying to tell everybody about somebody.
Somebody, absolutely.
And that's all. And I'm not no big I or a little you. I just want to be actively engaged and being used where I can be. If I can throw out a shameless plug, though, I would like to invite you ladies and any ladies that are out there to attend our Women Entrepreneurship Conference that's coming up in March of next year. One of our keynote speakers is going to be Dr. Maggie Anderson, and she is the author of Our Black World, where she and her family went all over the country and they shopped nothing but Black businesses, and they today still shop all Black businesses. But for that 1 year experiment, they did that. And then they went back around the second year to those same businesses and found that 98% of them were all closed.
Now, is this woman from Chicago?
Yep, she's from Chicago. Yep.
I heard about that when she did this many years ago, the first time, when she said everything they bought. Yeah, I remember. I think it could have been on
Wait, stop. That's who's coming?
Yes, she's going to be my keynote speaker.
Oh my God. The year of it was a year of something.
Yeah, it's called it's called Our Black World, and it was a year of her shopping strictly Black business. And right now to date, her and her family, they still only shop Black owned businesses and establishments. I talked to her last week. We talk all the time, as a matter of fact.
Oh wow! I think that is that you have. I'm gonna go.
It was very interesting and very intentional. It was very intentional.
Yep.
But I wish that we can all get in the in the mindset, because it was a lot of work for them to do. If I can remember, and I think I can remember,
it was a lot of work.
What she had to do that. Even like I told you, I found this company, Black-owned company that sells toilet tissue, and I'm gonna start ordering from them. Yeah, we have to buy it. Yeah.
What? Well, I buy mine from Amazon, and I truly believe the intentionality for Black folks, especially for the holidays, but even beyond that into 2026, if we want to build the Black business infrastructure, we are going to have to be intentional, and it's not going to be simple and easy. When I when that little knock is on the door and Moses starts barking, I know that the package is at the door. So it's too convenient, but it is not going to better our own community if we continue down the path that we're going.
Exactly.
Correct.
Exactly.
But
So,
Exactly.
Joe,
love
if you would shoot me all that information, we'll put it in here, and all your events are excellent anyway. But yeah, particularly this female, I remember her.
Yeah, I remember her as
And
well.
that's how I remember she was from Chicago because I could remember the interview. I don't know if I saw it on TV or I think it was on radio. It could have been some show.
Yeah, she's going to do the women's conference, and then I'm going to hold her over for that Sunday so she can speak to the community at large. So
And when
I'm
is
going
this?
March 7th and March 8th. So the conference is a daily event. It's going to be the entire day, March 7th. I got some phenomenal speakers. I got a speaker coming out of Atlanta. She's coming. Another speaker coming out of Milwaukee, and then a lot of local presenters. But the stage is going to be it's a unique. I just sent you
He has a great lineup. You haven't seen it?
No, I haven't.
the one young lady that's coming out of Atlanta. If you guys are familiar with that series, Black BMF, Black Mafia Family, well, they were the nation's only, and now it may not sound good, but they were a crime syndicate, the only black major drug syndicate in the country.
What, like
They
a real mafia family?
these were young black men who got into the dope selling game, and they did it at levels that was unprecedented in history. To that point, they now have a series out, and 50 Cent, he took the founder's son, because he had the son in the midst of this. He took the founder's son, put him in acting schools, and paid for him to go to acting school so he can depict this series of his dad's life on TV. So you can now look at the series. But I say that to say, one of the founders of that that organization, girlfriend, they are part of another spinoff of that series called American Gangster Trap Queens. She was a major drug queenpin in the US. Well, she's coming to tell her story on how she did what she did, how she did, and how she's overcome and running a great nonprofit in Atlanta called Free Pretty Girls.
So
And
how do you see the show Black Mafia? Is it on Netflix?
Yeah, it's on Netflix. Yeah, BMF. It's one of those. It is a guy movie, but it's a great series. But then the documentary that comes behind it, that tells their lives and tell how they got to this point, what made them get into this game. That's what really make you say, that's what happened to young black men, and that's what happened with them.
But I often say I was looking at something just I was looking at and I think it was on YouTube, the Mafia of Tampa. It was just a whole series that just came up, right? And some of these big companies that we know started off just like this, but we'll like to demonize our people, but every group has done this.
Yep.
And made it to where they're at.
Yep.
So.
And that was depicted in that show. They talked about that. The investigators and everyone that researched and followed these guys and tried to catch up with them, they did this for 15 years uncaught. Yeah. And they were like, this was the most complex situation in American history. And another factor was, they were so large. It was over 200 people. They were so large that, and here was the other thing, they weren't killing each other. They were all on the same page. It was all about making money, and they weren't killing each other. They weren't taking turf. They weren't doing any of that. The guy who founded it said that his objective was not to cause crime and not to kill, but yet for us to all make money to get our families out of the hood.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, I'm against black people selling drugs to black people, but I understand it. White people have done it. The
White people are doing it today
Yeah, but
legally.
I'm saying the Italians when they came over,
Legally.
the gangs of New York, and all of these people, and they'll talk about, but they did it to move up, and
Yep.
then they, and white people are still doing it today. Absolutely.
Well, they're doing it legally, and because of our prison records, and so many of us, we are shut out of the game. And those are the kind of things that need to be really addressed, I think.
Well, if you look at the legalized marijuana, what you call that when they have these stores now?
Dispensaries.
Dispensaries.
Yeah, everybody is saying black people are having a hard time getting these certificates or whatever you need to
That's correct.
start your own growth stuff. So,
Yeah. Financially, it's kind of out of a lot of people's league, but also your records and the qualifications to the qualifications pretty much shut a lot of us out. So those are things that I think need to be addressed. But I'm not really into selling the drugs in the whole mafia crime scene, but very impressive is all I'm going to say about this mafia crime family. So
Yeah.
after 15 years, did they get caught? What happened?
Well, they did get caught. They start coming down because of they were flashy. They bought luxury cars, and they would take these luxury cars and had them modified, driving cars across the nation. I mean, they ran a mastermind scheme. And even the Justice Department was like, we've never seen anything like this before. And so she is the young lady that's coming to speak. She ended up dating one of the guys that founded it. He died in prison before he started serving them.
they all end up going. That's the only thing I don't like because I always tell my nephews,
Yeah.
the only road this leaves you either one or two places, dead or in prison.
Yeah. And she began her life in this space, and her story. If you go to Cam Newton, I'll send you the link. Cam Newton did an interview with her, and for her not to be a celebrity, her interview it ranks as many likes as your A-list celebrities because it was so powerful.
Yeah.
Which is how I reached out to her.
I'm intrigued, right? I've never heard of this before, but it's kind of like I need to look into that.
Yeah, powerful stories.
But I'm intrigued because I think there's a lot of brilliance right now in prison, a lot of brilliance.
Sure.
And for the Black men who did not have any real, let's say, legal avenues because they were shut out of so much, where was that brilliance supposed to go? And when we do things, when we enter into various, genres, whether it's sports and it's sports that maybe we've been locked out of, tennis, golf, gymnastics, whatever, or whether it's the financial arena or any of those arenas, we really excel. Think about even this mafia crime family. Think about today with the legalization of, let's say, marijuana, and them putting that ingenuity into practice and creating something massive. I don't think anybody really has done that at this point, but a Black family did.
Yeah,
Or in
you're
prison
right.
for it.
You're right. If we use that same talent, skill, the creativeness that how they put that together and how they kept kept
That's
most
my point.
syndicated big drug games like that. You have a lot of death and killing. They kept it to almost none because their objective was not death. And the founder said, "Listen, he got the Bloods and the Crips together." He got the disciples and the vice lords. He got everybody together by saying, "Listen, guys, we don't have to kill.
And that's
We
who
can
we
make
are.
this money." And
That's
that's what they did.
That is who we are as a people. I really, even to the viewing audience, we have to stop allowing others to tell us who we are.
Mhm.
Um, the strength of community and the genius that sits among us is amazing if we don't buy into the narratives that other people have for us. And if we stop villainizing ourselves as if, for example, this 22-year-old, right, probably had a lot of promise, right? But a lot of people, as you said in some of the chats, were really going after him rather than trying to figure out what was the problem there and how do we uplift. We tend to tear down ourselves. Like even this mafia family, as soon as you started talking about it, I'm like, what the heck is Daryl talking about? Black mafia family selling drugs. Ain't nobody want to hear that, right? I'm thinking that.
Hmm.
I can't believe, but as you told the story, I'm like, oh my God,
Yeah.
think about this family and what they had to pull off and put together in such a way that there was no murders or killings or whatever else. It was all about business and making money and growing an empire, which
Hmm.
they were able to do until
Well,
they got.
what you can say from what I'm hearing is they didn't let the oppressor divide them either.
Mhm.
Nope.
Generally, that's what they want to do, come in and break
Exactly.
it up. Someone
Exactly.
at the top, they're feeling like everybody should be working under them. If this one family had the type of power you're talking about, I could see, like anything else, our past history, how they want to come in and tear it down.
Yep.
Yeah, let me share this because I never heard of this before. Never. So Angela Judge says, "Oh, I've watched the BMF series. I've
Yeah,
never
I
heard of
never
it."
heard of it either.
And then she says, Judge Greg Mathis produces Trap Queens.
Yep. Yep. He sure does.
All
Yep.
right,
Yep.
respectable, respectable. And when you watch both of those shows, you will see that our young men and women have innate business skills. And that's what I'm
Brilliance.
talking about.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
And
Exactly.
that's exact. See, they know this. Y'all know who they are. They
Yeah,
know this.
yeah,
And they have to keep us out of the business arena because we are that creative. And it is innate from way back. Another
Yep.
plug for Brenda Allen and the Mahat Sankofa.
yes.
Yep. Yep.
Mhm.
All right, guys. So, what do y'all think about tonight? Do you think that we should try to advocate for an outlet for our young men? Is it something that we think they will use? Is it something that we think will be helpful? The racetrack that you said that was on I'm 75, but I thought that was more professional because I saw these little I'm, I'm
Yeah,
gonna
but
check.
they can make it. They can. It's in the city. Private public partnerships is a way to bring that to pass.
Right, right. We
That's how you do
definitely we definitely have to do something because I just feel so bad because I look at this young guy, 22 years old, and I have a 22-year-old nephew who's just the awesome, awesome young man. But he likes a fast life. Um, and I don't want to believe that this guy was bad. It was just a split, and it probably wasn't just a split second because it appears he had other tickets from drag racing. But it's
it.
just something he likes to do.
The dog track that's out there off of what street is off of Florida.
Bird, Bird, and Nebraska.
Yeah, that's a whole track right there. All you gotta do is repurpose it.
Is that big enough?
I mean, it's
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. It's a
yeah.
big, huge circle. Cause right,
Big huge
the,
circle.
the
Yeah,
dogs used to,
dogs went around it, but I thought cars needed a bigger track than that. But I don't know. But
Re,
you know what? You
you can
partner with NASCAR,
you can
partner with
repurpose it.
partner with a big name like NASCAR, and they create within partnership, private public partnership, they create these sites where young men can go with a dream of maybe I could become a NASCAR driver. So I don't think building it for the sake of just having it to perhaps divert them off the streets into a track that you've built that you may or may not maintain, but you partner with something that potentially becomes a dream for someone that they could become a NASCAR driver. I know that's not what we do, but we are beginning to, as I said,
We have
enter
one or two,
into
we have
areas
one or
where
two
we
black
typically don't.
drivers in
Huh?
NASCAR. I said we have one or two black drivers in
Right,
NASCAR.
right. And I think
And I
we
think
can
that's
break into
something
that.
good, but we need something for these young people. And the mayor wants it to happen, it can happen. The the police department gets 60% of the budget.
But I'm saying to you, I agree with you, but I think that you also need to build in some kind of
Sure.
incentive
Yeah.
for if I do this, I could become blah, blah, blah. And if you partner with NASCAR, it gives this a certain, I want to say, for lack of a better word, sexiness to the whole thing. And it becomes, I'm going out to the NASCAR, practice track to do whatever. And
Or you can take,
it's-
or the same, you can utilize, I mean, like the guy that was on this clip here, and another guy I seen who teaches the pit maneuver for the local law enforcement or national. I don't know how big his training may be, but guess what? They do that training somewhere. They learn how to drive. And so you can, if you really want to fix the problems of the day,
Sure.
you can be strategic in doing it and make sure it gets done if you want to heal the ills. That's where it really boils down to. If you personally, meaning the person that sits in the seat of authority, who has power and authority, it's if they want to heal the ills. And unfortunately, the only time you think of these things and how you come up with true resolution is when it happens to your family or it
Mhm,
happens to you.
Yeah.
mhm. Very
And I
true.
know, and that's what we got to stop doing is reacting to these problems because we know it's a problem, and we have to have outlets for the young people. Um, I just look at East Tampa, and it's really no outlet for. We used to have the skating ring, the bowling alley. We had things to do. Now I know this guy's 22, but that's just something that we need. We need it in. We need a couple of racetracks areas that they could go do this at.
At least a drag race. You can do a drag race strip easily. In North
Yeah.
Carolina, Charlotte area, they got drag race strips all over the place because that's where NASCAR's at.
Yes.
But
Right.
again,
So
it's just a
next,
matter of you being creative and wanting to solve the problems of the day. And unfortunately, we have the skin tone to whereas the solution for us is to imprison us. It's interesting that it's called the Department of Corrections, but no one is getting corrected in there. You're just housed in a place to be there.
yeah. Yep, yep.
Yeah, we do the drag racing too, but they do it the most.
Yeah, yeah,
It is something that will benefit all of the young people.
yes.
I agree. I
Because
agree.
what happened on Bayshore, what happened on the Campbell Causeway, all these were white kids.
Yeah. But again,
And they wasn't even chasing them. These kids just lost control.
yeah.
If he wouldn't have been chased, I don't think this would have happened.
So the other part of that is yes, do the sort of strips, drag racing strips that are monitored and regulated and all of those things and attach it to big name drag racers or something. But on the other end, there is the that police officer or that Florida patrol officer that is making a decision at that moment. Where are the guidelines and the training that allows him to make a good decision that does not put other people's lives at risk? That did not happen the other night. apparently. They pursued him for reckless driving, and they likely should have not done so.
The same grace that's given to one is given to the other is how I look at it, because he probably was, as we are saying and can believe, his adrenaline was flowing, his raw was going, and then he got to a point that he had the old crap moment. I need to back off. We coming into the city. It was just too late, because now the guy was already several hundred feet away from you. So even when you backed off, that kid is still at full speed. He's still at full throttle. The kid ain't looking in his rearview mirror at you. He's just looking straight ahead to get away from you.
Yeah, I would think, I pause on the same grace because I think police officers that have a gun that may stop me on the road and may get triggered, so to speak, by a move that I make, and they quickly act, and then I'm dead. I need for them to be trained and have enough information not to react
Yeah.
the way that maybe that kid did.
Yeah.
They have to take the extra step to not be so reactive. So I say that no, training and guidelines, and expect that they follow them, and when they don't, do something about it.
Yeah,
I agree.
Gerald, thank you.
Thank you all. Thank you so much. This discussion has been great. Thank you.
Send me all the information and we'll post it.
Okay.
Yes, we will. All right.
So Jeanette, that was.
Let me just say, he's a great guy.
Oh, absolutely.
I have not known him as well as, of course, you do, but what little that I do know, I'm glad he's here in Tampa, because in that very, very short time, I think that he is making an impact.
Yeah.
And that's what we're looking for from the Black community. And you've got newcomers that are coming in and doing it.
Yes, yes. He is a man's man. He is a fighter, advocated. So yeah, I like him.
Yeah.
Well, look, family. We're not here tonight with all the answers. But we are here with the courage to ask the right questions, Jeanette. What could we, because that bothered me all weekend. How can we prevent this from happening again? Because as surely as we don't do something, we know it's going to happen again.
Mm-hmm. If we allow events and incidences to occur, we complain about it, we cry about it, we point fingers about it, and then within a week or two, we're on to something else.
Yeah.
That must stop. We need to stop being reactionary about everything, but to be more proactive. And in this case, it happened. We see what the issues are. So now what's the solution? So community, we need to hear from you. I think that's the bottom line. I mean, parents, and again, I've talked about going into elementary schools and Title I schools, and I can see clearly almost a path for some of our students that if enough intervention happens, we could likely change the trajectory of some child's life if we are consistent. So mentors, we just need to be more intentional about what it is that we're doing. Car clubs, I said NASCAR earlier, but I truly believe that if speeding and drag racing is an issue in a community, do something about it and partner with the public to find those solutions. And youth leaders and community leaders, there are things we can do, definitely, even if that's advocating for stronger policies with FHP and TPD.
And that's where I will lean to, because we're not going to stop drag racing. It is something that the kids enjoy doing, the young people enjoy doing.
I mean, yeah, you have football players. Football players are drag racing in these.
And they're young, and now they have the really high horsepower engines. You know, they're probably in these Ferraris.
Well, they're not
Porsches.
drag racing. They are speeding,
They
they're
speed.
testing out their cars. So they're not drag racing. So I stand corrected on that. But definitely, it's something that uh, our young people will do, especially our young men. I'm going to say that. I don't really know of any young women right now that are drag racing.
I'm sure it is, but the fact of the matter is, I don't think the the change has to be with the police department.
It does.
That for the young people, because they're still going to do it on the highway too. I mean, if you have a straight stretch of highway, they're still going to do it. It's something, but we just, in my opinion, and I don't know. That's why I wanted somebody from the police to see how this stuff works.
Mhm.
Just not to chase them.
Yeah, but I'm more convinced that the park, like skate park or bike lanes and drag racing strips, is a better solution than I might have thought it earlier in this conversation. But I think that a TPD, FHP, an organization like NASCAR, and community engagement can come up with a solution that I think works. And you are absolutely right. There will still be drag racing out there, but policies from the police standpoint need to be in place for better decision making of what do you do when somebody's drag racing and do you pursue them or not? It depends, but you've got to go through this litany of things that tell you whether it's a no or a go. And that's what did not happen. And I think we have to hold policemen to a higher level of accountability when it comes to being reactionary rather than proactive.
Correct.
So good conversation. I agree.
Good conversation. This was episode 31 of the Black Independent Podcast.
Yay.
I'm Mona.
And I am Jeanette.
And we thank our brother Daryl Hint for being with us.
Let me just say this. It's Daryl Heitch. And I'm laughing at you because you actually got all the way
I even got
to the beginning. But at the beginning, you said it correctly. Okay. And then tonight, right now, you went Hitch. And I'm like, come on, we practice that. But it's Daryl Heitch. And I just, again, appreciate the brother. The more and more that I see of him being very active in the community, the better. And hopefully we'll see more people engaged in 2026 in particular, because I truly believe it's going to be a tough year. And the empathy and the grace that we are going to need to have as a community, because if we tear each other down, we've already lost. We will have lost. Sure. And now is a time for rebuilding the community when the community is definitely under attack. The community, folks, if you're going about like it's business as usual, it is not. It is not.
Yeah.
So stay aware.
But I was just thinking of something when you said that let's build a community where our young men can also feel alive and stay alive.
I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. So I don't know. I think that we have exhausted this, and I think Angela Judge, she was in there going at it, man. She was a part of the conversation. She was the fourth person on the panel today.
All right. Well, thank you, Angela.
Yes.
That's my cousin.
I know. I recognize the Judge.
Yes.
That's not so common. So stay aware, folks, stay grounded, stay involved, and let's build a community where our young people can, in fact, what did you say? Stay alive.
Stay alive.
Mm-hmm.
Be alive.
Yep.
Because we're gonna have to give them something to do.
Yeah, I
We
think
don't want them selling drugs. We don't want them shooting, and I haven't heard of any of that. So they have to have an outlet,
no, really.
and that's their outlet.
You're saying you're saying
Everybody,
you're saying we don't want them selling drugs. I totally have a solution for all of that. I also think that there needs to be schools or tech schools set up for marijuana dispensaries, all of those where you are learning those things that we got pretty good at,
sure.
but got jailed for.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of
well, that's the thing, because I don't agree that all these white boys are now making all the money after they put our black asses in jail for over all this stuff. They should be reaping this stuff. Yes, I do believe in, of course, doing it legally.
yes, but we have to take them through. First of all, I think we need to sort of go through and empty the prisons the way
Sure.
Trump is emptying the prison of his.
And that's one thing that Biden could have done. Is what we was pushing for that.
Yeah.
The Democrat had the power. All nonviolent prisoners, particularly black and brown, needed to be released and help back into.
He had the power at a federal level, not a state.
I don't give a damn. I don't want to hear that. He
I
could have made it at the state
about
too. Trump do whatever he want at the federal state. I didn't want to hear it.
Okay, so Trump you are right. Trump does whatever he wants. And yes, he just pardoned a lot of the accomplices in his whole trying to take over. But he can't do it. He cannot pardon them on the state level.
But then he make the governors do it. He could have made the governors do it. He could have made the governors do it.
Well, he certainly can't do it, but he did.
And he probably could have did it in the red states, but he definitely could have made the governors.
He did the gesture as if that was something that was real, and so the people believe it was real, but it actually was not. So, but he can't. So, as we said, good discussion, and I am gonna sign out. Got anything else?
No. Good night. We'll see everybody on Sunday.
You got it. 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.